Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Casey Oswald, and today I am here with my good friend, Mary. Hey, Mary.
Hi, Casey. It is so good to see you, and thank you for having me today.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here again. The first time I interviewed Mary, I didn't feel like I knew her as well as I do now.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad
Oh, I love it. I'm super happy. So,
thing.
how was your morning? Did you have classes this morning?
No, I take Thursday and Fridays off, which when I started doing that, it felt like my whole relationship to teaching changed. It's so nice to give myself that because this summer I was teaching so many classes every day of the
Yeah.
week and just burning out. So this is refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm still on the fence of 7 days a week. I really want to take a day or two off. And then I like just now I had a student cancel. Like I have him 3 days a week, and he canceled tomorrow, and then he canceled next Friday right after. And I was like, oh no, am I gonna lose him forever?
Yeah, I know. And there is that concern of like if we say no, will our dear students disappear? And my experience is most often not, but yes, sometimes you're going to lose some of those special students. And
Right.
that's hard. And yet at the same time, we don't know why we shouldn't take it personally. At first, when I
Right.
first started, it was like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? I didn't
Yes.
teach right. And now it's like, their lives change. I had
Right.
this one of my favorite students, her name is Flora, and she was gone for so long. And then about 5 months later, she came back and she was holding her baby sister. And it was like,
Oh,
oh, I know what your family's been doing.
cute.
And so we never know why a
Yeah.
student might disappear or not.
Right. Hey, James, thanks for coming. He said, hi, Casey and Mary. I'm only working
James.
7 days a week to get ready for building my house. Once I move into my new house next year, then I'm changing. I'm sure because he not only works 7 days a week, he has multiple companies and is independent, student. So he is super busy.
That's exhausting.
James, you need to come on here by yourself and do a meet the teacher with all of your cooking. And we need to chat about that. That'd be a lot of fun. I was talking to him. He watched the Pampered Chef Kahoot, and he was saying about all the different foods he can cook and everything.
That's awesome. I need to
I
talk to him.
know. I told him I'm not a very good cook, but
But you love Pampered Chef, which is
I do. So super funny. Um, so what does your schedule mostly look like? You said you take Thursday, Fridays off?
I take Thursday. I do work Friday evenings for
Hmm.
one special student, just one class.
Oh.
Just because just because when I stopped teaching Friday nights, I thought I can't lose her. So I we all have that one student, right?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yes, so I teach right now. I'm just doing 5 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time,
Okay.
um, Sunday through, well, 5 days. So not
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday. Yeah, so
Right.
Saturday through Wednesday, and
Okay.
and that works fine. I used to do more, but
Yeah.
that's that's I'm getting old.
It's so
I
funny.
don't know, something. I mean, I used to have more energy, right? But once you turn 60, you just feel like I need more sleep. I exercise.
I
You know, I'm
have
not
a
that
lot of
old,
energy,
but
but lately I've just been like, I like doing four in a row.
mhm.
I used to do like 10, 12, and I don't know, it just seems to get less and less as I go.
Yeah, I used to do 8. I've never done more than 8, but 6 in a row is fine. And I
Yeah.
do like when I get the cancellation in between, even though
Yeah.
6, because 5's starting to feel really nice. And, you
Right?
know,
Nick, you heard what I did when I first started, right? I booked 26 classes in 13 and a half hours.
wow,
I think
that's
five
crazy.
were like trial no shows. So I ended up having a little bit of time in between, but I was so new. I was like staring at the clock, watching
Oh,
everything. And
wow,
James
that's
said he was
amazing.
just in the kitchen making hamburgers, 10 to 1 and 4 to 1, the size of McDonald's burgers. I made the buns this afternoon. Yeah, he like makes his own bread and bagels, and
Wow.
it looks delicious. So awesome. Let's see. How long have you been with VIPKid?
I just signed my 7th contract. So I guess that makes it 3 years.
Right?
Yeah, 3
Yeah.
years. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I started in 2017. So there's been a lot of changes since then, and yet not, right? Like there's things that are always consistent, and then there's things that just look different if you think back.
Right. I thought for sure yesterday, I think the email came out about the trials, that if you do a Starlight trial and they sign up for a different program, that you don't get the $5. I thought for sure that was going to spark some conversation, and I didn't see it anywhere in my group. I was very thankful for that.
I don't even think I saw the email. It's been a crazy week for me. So
yeah, they gave us a heads up in the Slack chat. Like there's a few of us. If you have a VIPKid Facebook group in the community directory, then you're part of like this group where they send you some information ahead of time so you can prepare. And I was like preparing for that one. I thought for sure. I was like, uh-oh, what's going to come of this one, you know? So
that's interesting choice on their part.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of changes. And we have a kind of a fun video on all the different changes that you were part of that one too, right?
Yes, I think I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's see. James said, I did a class this afternoon and saw Mary's feedback as an example.
What?
Do you have some feedback? Maybe do you have some feedback like in the teacher section?
Oh, could be.
Oh, that's so cool.
I don't know. I'm not sure what he's referring to. Tell him that I'd love to see it.
You know, when you go in to look at what the class is and like you can learn about the class, and then underneath it says feedback and other people that have put their feedback in there as examples.
I don't know if I do that very much, but maybe I have.
Huh.
Maybe I have done that. I don't know. Yeah.
Was it very long and very detailed to the parents?
Because I was going to say, normally I wouldn't copy that in there, but you know, it's interesting depending on the parents. You know, sometimes it's a Bible and sometimes it's a snippet, and you know, depends on how often I see them.
Yeah, Candy said I missed the start. What changes are coming? Well, I was just talking about a change of trial lessons. So if you teach trials and you teach like the Starlight trial, for example, but they sign up for the MC courses, then you don't get the $5 bonus because they didn't sign up for that program, which I was still kind of like, but I was giving a good example of a good VIPKid class, you know? Yeah. So that was just something I had read coming down, and I think we got an email on it yesterday. Let me know if you didn't see it, and I'll look it up. So James said it was almost a year old. Maybe she's been here for a little bit. That's so fun. I want to know now.
And yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'd love to see it too. I've been around for just going over 3 years. So yeah, it could be.
Right. So I love talking to Mary. I'm inspired by her what do we call it? What do you call it again? Unschooling.
Unschooling.
Right? Mm-hmm. Unschooling. And I love that. Not that my kids are young enough for me to do that, but I've always thought that was great. So I want to talk a little bit about unschooling, her Pampered Chef, and a little bit about what you did before VIPKid. So how about you tell us about that first?
So so my journey just kind of been eclectic, I think. Mm-hmm. You know, I grew up in Canada, and so in Ontario at that time there was grade 13. So after grade 13, I worked in a bank for about 3 years, and like thought, you know what? I'm like gonna just be the same as my mom and my grandma. And not that I don't love them, but you know, my grandmother had 20 kids and my mom had 9. And I thought, if I don't break this mold, I'm just gonna be loaded up too. Right. So, and so I was the first of 9 siblings to go to university. And that was like, my dad at that time said he was really upset with me that I would consider going to school, because you know, the only thing that a woman should be doing is getting married and having kids. So I came from that really conservative background where getting an advanced education was just really frowned upon.
Right.
And my childhood wasn't always easy. So as I was doing some of my old healing work, I went into counseling for myself to heal some of the abuse that I'd experienced, and was really inspired to become a counselor. So after banking, after going to university, I initially thought maybe teaching, but really found that personal connection and working with kids and working with adults was really where I flourished and where I had something special to offer. So for many years, I worked as a counselor. Before my son Gabriel was born, I worked a lot with abuse victims and eating disordered folks. And then as Gabriel was born, the first number of years, I switched over to parenting and relationship work. And not that I hadn't done some of that before, but that became my focus. You know, when you have a little one in arms, you can't really do the deep crisis counseling that someone who really needs you to be there and on call needs. I just couldn't do that. So switching over to parenting and relationship counseling was just really wonderful. And then we moved to the country, and it was like Gabriel was school age, and it's like, no, I'm not going to drive an hour to my office. You know, that's how far away it was. So, and Gabriel needs a homeschooling mom. So I closed my counseling practice and then homeschooled Gabriel all the way through. So that became my venture then. And then just in the last couple of years, needed to go back to work, and he's 21 now. So it was time for me to work, and I wanted to do something at home. You know, living out in the country, being so far from a city, it's like, I just don't want to drive to work. So I found VIPKid, and, you know, here I am.
So Gabriel's 21 now?
He is. Like, it's crazy. I don't know how that happened.
Right? Mine are 20 and 22. That's so crazy.
Yeah. It's amazing how that happened. So he just started a job on Monday at Death Valley National Park in California. So he was home, not home, but he was at our local park, you know, all this summer, and over the winter he became an EMT. So having him around for the last year was awesome, and now he's far away again.
Aww. I know, it's so hard. I know Cindy Bennett is talking a lot about working with empty nesters. And I'm like, it's so hard. It's so hard. But my whole family is coming for Thanksgiving. So I say my whole family, but my kids and one's married, so his wife is coming. The other one, her and her boyfriend have been together for a while. He's coming. So that's the 4 of them. And then my parents, who I went to them for Thanksgiving, but before that, we were overseas for so long that I hadn't gotten to hang out with them very much. So I'm super excited to be able to have them come here. And although my kids asked if my dad could cook Thanksgiving. James, I might need a little bit of help.
Oh, that is so funny.
Well, my dad cooks some Portuguese meals. Like, his Portuguese stuffing is so good. Portuguese soup. I'm like, that's not Thanksgiving. Portuguese soup is not Thanksgiving.
but it can be. I mean, my husband and son are vegan, and I eat meat on occasion. So, you know, for us, Thanksgiving is, what is your favorite food? It doesn't necessarily look like a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. And because, you know, Gabriel left 3 weeks ago to start his drive across country, we had Thanksgiving before he left. Also, my Canadian background, I live in the US now, but, you know, their Thanksgiving is the second Monday in October. So it kind of melded more to like the Canadian Thanksgiving timeframe, which was sweet. But I mean, for him, that means, you know, like a tofu loaf and his favorite roasted vegetables. And, you know, so why not Portuguese food?
Right. Well, I want ham. I get ham on Thanksgiving every year, and my family usually has turkey. But and we have Portuguese stuffing.
Good. Awesome.
Not usually the Portuguese soup, but if we can get Dad to cook it, I wonder if he's listening. Sometimes him and my mom listen to these, so I said, yeah, you can bring it with you. We'll have it the night before. Let's see. James said something I was going to read. It was almost, his wife's sister just moved to Canada.
Oh, neat. Where to, James?
Yeah, tell us where. And oh, Candy said about the trials. Some people are saying they're dropping the certificate. I kind of get that one.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, Victoria, thanks for coming. And Stephanie, hey, good morning. Home due to
Hi
the
there.
hurricane. Yeah, my parents are in Tampa right now, and their barn was okay, but I guess a lot of the barns on the
Mm.
track, they have a lot of water, so
Wow,
they're over there just trying to get rid of some water.
that's
So
intense.
James said, my last name is Souza. My grandpa was from Portugal. Oh, okay.
Neat.
Yeah, my family is quite the mix. My grandmother is French and my grandfather is from Portugal. And then on my mom's side, we're like English, Irish, and French. So
I'm just pure Dutch. Like my parents grew up in Holland, immigrated
Mhm.
to Canada, so I didn't really learn to speak English till after my oldest sister started school. And
Every
so
time you mention that, I should have brought all of my stuff
from
from
Holland, yeah.
the Netherlands and like Holland and like
Yeah.
all of, yeah. I had a shoe made for my birthday when
Oh,
I was
that's
there.
awesome.
Yeah, well, I went to the class and they're like, anybody celebrating anything? And my kids are like,
That's
so that was
awesome.
fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, great. Okay, so we talked a little bit about VIPKid, but guys, she's been in VIPKid a while. We have a whole video on her about VIPKid, and we talked about your background, which I love. And we mentioned Gabriel and unschooling. You want to tell us a little bit about that? And then we'll talk about Pampered Chef.
Yeah, I'm good with talking about whatever. So for
I know.
Gabriel, yeah, that's what I love talking to you, Casey. So I don't know if people are familiar with the term unschooling or not. Like when you homeschool, there's variations of what you can do when you
Mhm.
homeschool. For some people that looks more like school at home where you follow specific curriculum
Right.
and you're the teacher teaching that curriculum. Some people have the other side, which was more me, the unschooling, never followed a curriculum.
Mhm.
And I'll explain that more later. And some people just find a happy in between. So for Gabriel, he was the kind of boy that whatever he was interested in to the nth degree.
Yeah.
And if he wasn't interested, you could not get him to sit down and do it. And it was like not ever going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So I had to get creative, and unschooling for me looked like, what is he passionate about in this moment? And
Mhm.
how can I bring the resources around so that my questioning and my resources that I provide him help him explore those other areas, right? So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. If you study one thing in depth, you're going to learn about everything. It's like the
Mhm.
microcosm and the macrocosm. So for an example of this would be perhaps early on, he was really interested in stars. And, he got to looking at the night sky. We got him a small telescope. And, when you're studying and looking at the stars, you start wondering what you can't see, right?
Mhm.
So with the telescope, you have to find a visible object and then find out how many degrees the non-visible object is away so that you can find out where it is. So he learned his, you know, angles and geometry by looking at the stars. So
Great.
that was just a natural in for him. Stars also lend themselves to studying the constellations and the mythology that goes behind that.
Mhm.
So he never ever thought that he was being taught. It was more me finding out the right way to ask a question
Yeah.
because, he wanted to be the teacher. So, you know, gee, I wonder what the story is behind those stars. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll find out. It's like,
Mhm.
great. So he has that self motivation. And,
That's good.
frankly, that's why now as a national park ranger, he has two main focuses. One is his rescue work, the EMT and rescue work, but the other, he's an interpretive guide. So he's the one doing the education programs and
Oh,
all
neat.
of that. So that early on teacher in him was totally nurtured from the very beginning by
Yeah.
allowing him to teach me. It's like
Mhm.
I
That's
was
awesome.
I was such a stupid parent, I didn't know anything. It's like, well, how does that work? That doesn't make any sense. Yes, it does, Mom. I really don't think that makes any sense. Oh no, this is how it makes sense. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And that's
Now,
how he learned best.
I've been meaning to ask you. So, for me, I didn't hear a lot about homeschooling or unschooling when my kids were little. And I don't know if it's because I was overseas or, on bases I mean, it is still popular on the bases, but I hadn't really heard much about it. Was it big with Gabriel being young? I mean, they were, I guess, the same ages as mine, or he the same age.
Yes. So at least here in Virginia, homeschooling is quite popular, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of different homeschooling co-ops that you can be a part of, or,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, obviously it's probably changed since I was actively homeschooling him, but
Right.
especially in some of the alternative communities, I'm an old hippie, and you know, so it was fairly popular in my circle of friends to homeschool. In fact, I'm not sure that I had many friends who sent their
Yeah.
kids to school.
Well,
So,
now thinking about it, most of my friends overseas were teachers, so we all brought our kids to school with us.
right?
That could be why.
you know, and also, early on, like I said, when I first started university, I thought I might want to be a teacher. And I went as far as, when I was doing my undergrad, working as a teacher's assistant in the school. And
Yeah.
then in Ontario, you get your Bachelor of Education, no, I mean, Bachelor of Arts or Science. And then you go for your your Bachelor of Education after that. So I
Okay.
started that program, and I just really found like I wanted to meet the needs of that individual child,
Yeah.
not the group collective. And it's just where my heart went to. It's like, I want to know why Johnny's upset right now
Yeah.
that,
That's,
you know,
yeah.
and my supervising teacher says, no, you can't do that. You got to teach. And it was like, okay, that's why I'm going to counseling.
Mhm.
But I also saw that, having had that perspective, seeing Gabriel's needs, thinking, we need to find something else. So it
Yeah.
just, knowing who he was, we had to look for the answers of what would work for him.
hmm I think we've talked about, I think my heart is really in special education and figuring those things out too.
Yeah.
So, let's see. James said his wife's sister is in Coronation, in Toronto right
In,
now.
in Toronto. Okay. So
hmm
yes.
And Victoria said, I love this concept for teaching. My son and I read to learn in a similar way. And his name is Gabriel too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
That's neat. It's a great
sweet.
name.
Yeah. It's funny. I just want to touch on this really quick. So she's talking about her son, my son and I read to learn in a similar way. Yeah. So for me and my daughter, I'm a very kinesthetic learner. So give me things to touch, let me hold things. Tell me stuff as I do it. If I do it
Yes.
once, I'm good to go. But
Yeah.
if you try to just tell me, or if I have to read it, that is not me. So when I had my kids, I just tried to teach them the same way I learn. And I found like a test to learn how your kids learn.
Right.
And my daughter is auditory. So for her, like we would record lessons, or she could listen to them, before bed or something, and remember them better. It's one of those things I wish I would have known sooner, you
Right.
know, but finding out how she learned really, really helped.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's so important. And I think that can be one of the challenges, I think, as a classroom teacher, is to have to appeal to the kinesthetic, visual, auditory, all
mhm,
meeting all those needs, where, as a homeschool mom, I could just zoom right into
mhm.
what worked for Gabriel.
I
So
did learn something really cool though, Mary.
what's
I
that?
learned about smart centers. And so I had a little rebounder, the little mini trampolines in my room, so they could jump and read their sight words. They could
Awesome.
crawl on the floor, and they had to tap each one and say them out loud. So if we were
Oh,
learning weather, it'd be all the weather. If they were learning sight words or numbers, I had 10 to 12 centers,
that's
and they would
awesome.
rotate, like two in each group, rotate around the room, and they would do all of their little mini lessons. Oh, I loved it. And
Oh,
anytime I
that
had
sounds
like
awesome.
visiting parents or visiting teachers, they stayed at a station and just helped every student that went through that station. Ah, I loved teaching that way.
Oh, that sounds perfect. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, James, Mary knows all about quarantining in Canada.
Yeah. I went up for 7 weeks this summer. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, the drive, so a couple of days to drive and then
Mhm.
quarantine for 2 weeks and then go for the COVID test and pass that and then was able to see my mom. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's what she's doing right now. Hmm.
And it's, I went through Toronto as well. So
Was
I
that
grew,
through
I grew,
Toronto? Is that what you said?
yeah, I grew up about an hour and a half northwest of Toronto. So
Oh,
close to,
okay.
close to you.
Nice. All right. Let's see. So Mary has also started a new journey. I guess it's not so new anymore, huh, Mary?
It's taken evolutions, Casey. So, so as a Pampered Chef consultant, I started at the beginning of June. And so backing that up, I was totally content just teaching VIPKid.
Yeah.
And then my husband's work requires a lot of travel. He would travel internationally about 10 times a year, teaching and leading workshops. And obviously that's just not happening. And tied to that would be the secondary part of his income as well. So, for a number of months there was just like nothing on his end. And now at least the sales part's coming back, but it's like, what else do we do? And my sister has just all in Canada, because all my family's in Canada, constantly holding Pampered Chef parties, and they're online now, and I attended. I thought I could do that.
Yeah, I could do that.
I could do that.
Yeah.
So I started with that, and I thought, it's the part of me that likes to teach. It's the part of me that likes cooking, and it's potentially some income, but I wasn't really knowing for sure if I would like it or not. It was just like, okay, I'm going to give this a try.
Yeah.
And so I did, and I've been growing into that. But, and this relates to VIPKid too. So the director I signed under, you sign under a director. I just typed in my zip code and picked the one that was in my zip code. It was terrible.
Right.
Like no support, nothing at all, just like gone. And so I want to flip that back to VIPKid. If we recruit new teachers, it's like it's so important for us to be there for them. That's why I think so many of us have learned so much about how to recruit by building resources, whether we build those virtual resources or do that one-on-one coaching over Zoom or whatever. But I know the teachers that I have coached, I want to really show up for them. And I found that just was non-existent with the director I had in Pampered Chef. And then, I'm Canadian. I'm legal to work in both countries. I mean, I've only been a US citizen, 5 months now?
Right.
Maybe 4, Canadian all my life. And so I asked the person that I knew in Canada, can I sign up in Canada? And they said, yes, you can. They checked with the field office and they said, sure. So I started there and had a great launch for October. And then I was told, no, you can't be in Canada. So it's like, okay, well, I had a 1-month business in Canada. So that's fine. I shut that down. But during that month, I saw what my director there was doing. And I thought, oh my God, that's what I need. I need a director that I can work with and learn from and really know what the heck I'm doing. So I resigned from my business in the US and Canada. And my husband's right now the Pampered Chef consultant, and I'm helping him with videos and being in there as an honorary host in the parties and doing it that way. And in 6 months, I'll be able to sign up again under this new awesome director that Daniel's under. And so that's how we're helping me transition eventually. A little workaround until I can be the consultant again.
That's too bad. Like for Beachbody, if the person that signed me up wasn't helping me, and unfortunately it's one of my good friends, but she moved away from Germany, and I didn't have much help, and then she no longer does it anymore. So I could just go to another person and be, part of their team. So that's kind of neat. I've never transferred over. I just kind of always did it by myself. That's probably why it's never gone anywhere. But but to have that opportunity, if they're not working out for you, just to transition to a group you would think that would benefit their business.
Yeah, and it's not that I didn't have awesome other people say, here, we can help you with this and we can help you
Right.
with this. But to actually be plugged into a team so that
Right.
eventually, if I ever bring someone in, they're plugged into that team too. Like it's
Right.
already in place. The training is there.
Yeah.
And not that Pampered Chef doesn't have training in general, but to
Yeah.
actually be with the person that you can grow with. So the
Mhm.
person I'm now with is one of only 40 national executive directors, and
Okay.
she holds meetings, every Monday night, every Saturday morning. You can show up and learn whatever you need to learn, and the hiccups and bumps that you go through when you first join up it's
Yeah.
awesome having that resource. So
Yeah.
the thing that I'm trying to do, and that I was hoping to do more in our party this week, but
Hmm.
my mom's going through a lot right
Yeah.
now, and so I didn't get to do it as much as what I really wanted to do,
Hmm.
which was really bring in more of the discussion around how can we eat healthy as online teachers or as moms or whatever. And
Right.
I feel like I've kind of let the group down in that regard, but I'm trying to figure out if I
Yeah.
need to go to Ontario next week. So,
Yeah. I
you know,
think most people right now are so focused on getting gifts quickly. They're not watching everything. They're just like, oh, I see this. I think this is great for this
yeah,
person. I'm thinking probably, before January 1st, when everyone's starting to get ready for the healthy eating, I bet that's going to be a very good time for
yeah,
more talk about healthy eating.
yeah.
So,
But I see bringing in my counseling self, the part of me that has worked with,
yeah.
in my early 20s, I was anorectic. I was really
Wow.
struggled with an eating disorder, and now have really befriended food. So to look back and see my circle of, hey, I'm teaching people how to cook and
Right.
be in the kitchen. That's pretty freaking awesome as a
That is
personal journey,
awesome.
right? So that's a lot of fun. But I can see the vision of where I want to go with Pampered Chef. Next week, I have a party that our 3 former um, clients that I used to run a support group for, a women's
Oh,
support
wow.
group, and I haven't seen them in years, but they're like, can we have a discussion about what it's like to parent right now and have our kids at home?
Yeah.
And that's going to be just such a natural thing for me to do. And it's like, okay, and we'll do Pampered Chef too, but
Okay.
that's going to be the discussion, and that feels really, I just feel like I'm going to somehow find a way, and it's going to take time for me to find that path of
Hmm.
bringing those together
Yeah.
somehow. And I really think there's room for that.
Yeah.
In it's not all about like selling product. If you guys show up and see things you're interested in, great, but that's not, and of course that's how I'm going to make my money in this
Yeah.
business. But it's, to me, I want to find a way to create community and have meaningful discussions and have that be part of what's presented.
What about pivoting your channel and stuff to healthy eating and cooking, and you use those products, and when you use them, you link your link to each product underneath the description box, and
Yeah,
ah,
I think that's what I'm going to
we've got
do.
some thoughts going on here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also like maybe talking to people who are having fun in the kitchen, saying, what do you do? Like I
Yeah.
have that channel pivot. What's really strange right now is I can't even remember the password to get into my YouTube channel. So I still have to like,
Oh, Mary.
I'm locked out right now. It's like,
I
yeah.
think that is a really great opportunity. I think you have a lot to offer people. And man, I want to help you get started with all of this.
Okay.
From my thing, and I could send you some of this as well, as from doing the Beachbody side, I had meetings in my classroom. Okay, guys, I was spoiled. I was a very spoiled classroom teacher. I had a full kitchen in my classroom because they put
Wow.
us in a
Right.
portable building. So we had 2 kindergarten classrooms with full kitchens.
Wow.
So on the weekend, on every Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember, I would have a group of teachers come in and we would meal prep for the week. We
Nice.
would have somebody on vegetables, somebody on proteins. I mean, everybody would have a job bagging, measuring. And so I've found a lot of meal prepping things and ideas for healthy eating. I mean, we would measure people's like calories and figure out what they needed for the week. And
That's
so
awesome.
that's actually a passion of mine. I just kind of go off the path and then I'm like, wait, come back.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to incorporate that. And like I said, this week's just been a bit of a family crisis in terms of my mom,
Yeah.
but I had planned on some neat things to do with that, but
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
let me know if I can help with that.
I
It's a
would love
passion
that.
of mine. I never do that stuff by myself. If
Right.
it's to help somebody else, I'm in it. But if it's to help myself, I don't. It's so bad.
Isn't that interesting too, like, and how many of us are like that, right? Like
Yeah.
our heart is to serve, but then it's like, okay, we got to take time here too.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so
Mhm.
anyway, we did want to mention that I have a Pampered Chef party closing soon. I think it's awesome that 5 to 10 days things have been shipping out, not from when the party closes, even though we're closing tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
Not from when the party closes, but from when you order, which is huge. James, I don't know how it works going to Vietnam. Um, do they ship all over the world?
Well, so they have, so here, if you're linked to a military base, I think, doesn't that work to go get
Oh
shipped?
yeah,
Because
it's
yes,
for
so that,
APOs and
yeah, so
all of
that
that.
works, but otherwise
That
it doesn't ship to other
yeah.
countries. Um,
Mm,
but there's like Canada has a
yeah.
Canada Pampered Chef, Germany has a Germany, there's France opening up. So if you're in a country that has Pampered Chef, but you would have to find
Right.
a consultant there to do that.
Mhm.
So the other thing, Casey, because we had the Kahoot game the other night.
Yeah.
So this is really cool. And, I was talking about the stoneware, the kiln breaking, and that they had another kiln, but they just weren't able to keep up.
Yeah.
It's looking like that right now
Hmm.
that we will have some of the stoneware available before the December 12th December 12th is the deadline
For Christmas.
for Christmas, right?
Yeah.
If you order by December 12th. So it's looking like some of those things that aren't on the shelves right now will be coming back. Not the glazed stoneware, not every stoneware piece, but like
Okay.
the pizza pan, those things right now they're saying they're going to have enough to put back on the shelves for people.
Wow.
So
And those are
that's
the ones that
exciting.
I think, oops, sorry.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I think are great gifts, like the
Yeah.
pizza ones and
So what I wanted to say to you is you don't have to close out your party tomorrow
okay.
if you don't want. You can keep that link open, and
Hmm.
then as those products become available, I can just, do a quick announcement in the group
Okay.
and tell people to use your link if you want,
Cool.
unless you want to close out your party.
Right.
So it's totally up to you, but I will be giving people updates on that, and then
Okay.
yeah, and then seeing what
Cool.
happens.
I do want to get the links, but as soon as this ends, I will grab the link and put it right in the description box for anybody that wants it. I probably should have done that beforehand, but I didn't.
That's it.
Um,
And if anyone wants to host their own Pampered Chef party, I would be honored and thrilled to work with you. And, you know, Pampered Chef, one of the things I really like is that they do take good care of their hosts, unless you have a crappy director. Um, so yeah, just like that. But, you know, the when you're new in the business, they want to really help you get started.
yeah,
So, you reach sales at a certain point, you start getting free product, right?
right.
And then in November and December, we can earn all the new products that are getting released in the spring if my sales reach a certain amount. So I am right now incentivizing people to host with me because that creates the potential for my sales to get to the place where I will get free products. So
Oh, okay.
in that light, I'm giving my hosts a $20, or Daniel's giving his hosts a $20 shopping cart credit
Yeah,
so that it just incentivizes you. And it doesn't matter what your sales are or if there aren't any.
yeah.
But for that, you are inviting people to the party so that there's the potential for sales.
Very good.
So if you're interested in that and you know, Black Friday and Cyber Monday are coming up.
Okay.
And I have not been with Pampered Chef long enough, but I'm told they have some great sales. So it's a
Ooh, so maybe
great,
I do need to leave it open.
well, that's what I'm thinking, Casey, that maybe you want to keep it open and I can just put in the announcements of what's on sale as it happens, right?
But on a good note, it won't change the shipping from other people. So that's the only reason why I was always like, close it.
No, you can keep it open as long as you want.
Good.
And everyone else, as their orders submit, it's shipping. It's not shipping that day. It's still 5 to 10 days, but
Right.
5 to 10 days when, like in June, it was 7 to 8 weeks.
I
Like
know.
I'm breathing a sigh of relief. It's
So I
5
was
to
so
10
worried
days.
for Christmas because I'm like, I want to have a party so I can order stuff for Christmas gifts, get them in time. So as of right now, guys, if you use the link, it's guaranteed for Christmas, right?
That's right. Now, the thing that's happening is before, if they knew they were getting something in, it would still be on the website for sale. But now, if it's not in their warehouse, it's not on the website.
That's awesome.
So
So back orders and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are no back orders, right? It's
Nice.
just, which can be frustrating because right now, if you go on the website, there is no stoneware.
Right.
But if that shipment of stoneware arrives tomorrow, it's there. If it sells out by tomorrow night, it's gone.
So we'll get a message in the group.
Mhm.
I need to put the link to the group.
So I will keep you up to date on like what just came back in,
Yeah.
and it's in real-time inventory. So let's say there was one pizza pan available and someone has it in their put it in their shopping cart, and then tonight they changed their mind. So while it's in their shopping cart, everyone else thinks it's not there.
Gone. Okay.
But let's say they change their mind and they release it. Suddenly there's one available and someone can snag it. So checking back. So what I want to say to that is let me know if there's something you're interested in and I can keep checking for you. And also, Casey, as a host, you can put stuff in your shopping cart and it will stay there. Anyone else that's not a host, their shopping cart gets probably emptied randomly. They're not guaranteed. If they haven't paid for it, it's not guaranteed.
Right.
But, because they can clear that out, just like Amazon will clear out your cart after a while or whatever, right? So, but as a host, because they know you can't close your party yet, stuff in your cart stays secure. I can also set up a shopping cart for people and have it be secure. So whatever's in there. So that's one way of, like, if you see something you want, put it in there, because I don't know what's going to sell out and what isn't. Like, everyone's shopping online these days because a few people are going to stores. So, it has the potential to, Pampered Chef's doing their best trying to keep up.
Yeah. I think it's great ideas. I like the changes they've been making. So super cool. Speaking of changes, there's all kinds of new stuff too. I need the lasagna scooper.
the food excavator.
It's not called the excavator, guys. That's just what we call it. Mary made it up.
The other thing, and I'm working on the graphics for this, but great ideas for your kids is like, what's the book called? The Mouse That Ate the Muffin, or Muffin for a Mouse, or whatever. A muffin pan. If
you give a mouse a cookie.
Yeah, if you give a mouse
a muffin.
Yeah, all of those things, right? All of those. Yeah, I do. So for a kid, maybe get them that book, get them the muffin pan.
Yeah.
And, you're at home, everyone's cooking. So start those skills early. Like Gabriel loved to cook when he was little. And we did not use recipes because, that would be too much like a lesson, right? So I would teach him like the core of a recipe. Like if you're going to make a muffin, you should probably put in 2 eggs, a certain amount of liquid, an X amount of, oil, and then what do you want to flavor it with, and some baking soda and powder. That's the core. Now, what are you going to add to it? And throw in the wildest things. And for about 2 years, he was pretty sure paprika went in everything. But then he said, I don't want to put in baking soda. It's like, okay, don't. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay. So learning some kitchen chemistry, like teaching your kids to cook, not only teaches them some of that kind of kitchen chemistry stuff, but a life skill. Like how many people grow, like my youngest sister, she's youngest of 9 kids, right? She doesn't know how to cook.
Yeah.
Pampered Chef is changing that for her, but she doesn't. She'll email me, I tried out this Pampered Chef recipe. I actually feel like a cook. It's like,
Yeah.
yay.
My friend, hopefully she doesn't watch this because I'm gonna tell her, but my friend every year, she's a single mom of 5 kids. So every year I get them like a family gift, because she doesn't want a lot of toys and stuff. That's just not her home.
Yeah.
So one year I got them all like a rock climbing gift set that they could,
Nice.
use the gift passes for. And this year I got like the kids, I think it's a pancake set, or
Yeah, the
I don't even
pancake
know if it's
making
for
set.
kids or just in general, but I got them the big pancake set because they love to
That's
make
awesome.
stuff like that. So,
That's
and
awesome.
her and
That's
I
a
used to
great
make
set.
pancakes in our classroom all the time.
And when the individual pizza stones come back, which sounds like they're coming, that's great for a family because each kid can roll out their dough, make their own toppings, and have their, like, I don't know if you have Cece's Pizza where you are.
Yeah, there is one here.
Where the kids can go. When Gabriel was homeschooling and like his kindergarten homeschool group, we would go in and the kids would get to roll it out, wear their chef's hat, become real little pizza makers. Because Cece's Pizza does those pizza parties for kids,
really?
right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's a lot of fun. But you can have those pizza parties at home. And,
Yeah.
I think the more ownership kids can have of the food and the making process, like that's where some of the tools that Pampered Chef has, like the manual food processor, safe way for kids to know how to chop up onions and veggies and stuff, or the food chopper where you're just doing your anger work as you pounding. Yeah, like that's really good. Or like the apple peeler, anything that you
you do. If you don't know that one, it's got like a thing and you just like hit it to chop
boom,
stuff.
boom, boom, boom.
It's super easy, but you can you can pound it out if you're angry. Like those darn onions that make me cry.
Yeah, well, this is anger work without the tears. Yeah.
Right. Great. Oh, sorry. I went on Facebook to get the link, and now Facebook keeps dinging every time I get a message. So sorry.
No, not a problem.
But I think that's it. Anything else we haven't told them that we wanted to tell them? I didn't see any questions in the chat. Let me bring up the live chat. I think that's it. Victoria said, this is from Yukon. It's short. Achieve.yukon. Oh, we'll have to check that out. That must have been something we were talking about earlier.
Okay, cool.
So.
I think I want to go back to the homeschooling and unschooling for a moment because I think so many parents right now are being forced into that. That's one thing, but also just people who would naturally have chosen that but wonder if they're up for it. And I think it's such a growing movement and there are so many resources out there right now. Like, don't be afraid if you feel guided to homeschool, don't be afraid of it because it's not like you have to do it all yourself. If you can get yourself into a homeschool support group or virtual learning together as a group or whatever, I think Gabriel is the leader and who he is now because he was able to focus in on his passions. And I'm just a strong supporter of following that path if it's right for your child and right for your family situation.
Right. Yeah. Good. James said he wishes he could get some of the Pampered Chef stuff. I know. Any chance you're coming back here sometime? We could sneak it in your suitcases on the way back.
Well, couldn't we create a box? How much would it cost to ship? Where are you, James?
Vietnam. Yeah, I don't know what the shipping would be like, but James said my wife and I, have to homeschool our son.
So what's that like, James? What's it like to homeschool?
Yeah, how are you guys doing with that? But as far as shipping to you, I mean, it would cost you more, but I wouldn't mind shipping stuff to you. So.
And I wonder, Casey, even if you shipped to a military base, if you knew someone on a military base that was like in Europe, and then it would be cheaper for them because it's cheap to ship to a U.S. base in another country.
Like overseas to overseas is free, but I don't know that he's near anything over there. So.
But then if you had a friend, let's say like in Germany, it might be cheaper to ship a box to have your friend to relabel it and ship from Germany to Vietnam. I don't know.
Yeah. He said it's very difficult. Oh, homeschooling is very difficult. How old is he? I think he's told me before. He's young, I think. Well,
What's
take it.
the biggest challenge homeschooling, James?
No U.S. military bases there yet. Yeah. I don't know if you heard Mary. She asked, what's your biggest challenge for homeschooling? So, sorry if you keep seeing me play with my ears. I have an earache, and I can just feel it. Yeah, I'll check the chat in just a second. So, I love that you unschooled Gabriel. I think it's a great opportunity. It's definitely not for everybody, but I already I love it. He's an author. He's doing all kinds of amazing things. So he's 9, almost 10 years old, James said. Yeah.
James, this is what Gabriel did at 10. He wrote this book when he was 10 years old. And just from following his passion of being in the woods. Like, we literally lived in the woods for a couple of years, where from March to November, he did a black bear study for 5 years.
I love it.
And I just camped in the woods with him. We were out for 3 days in the woods, come home for a day and a half. I'd cook food, and back out to the woods we would go.
I keep saying I'm going to his mental disability.
Yeah, that can be challenging.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Well, we're here to support you, James. Well, I am, but I know.
Yeah, and if there is anything I can do, yes, absolutely.
I'm speaking for her, but we're both passionate about kids learning and kids with special needs. So
yeah,
we are here for you. If you need us, ask away. I remember you showing that book before. Yeah, I love when she shows that book. I need to order it. I
need to send it to you. So yes, I'll just send it to you. Yeah, I'll send them to you. And that's another example. We just followed Gabriel's passion, right? Like, there's no way I ever thought of him being an author, but Gertrude's a real bear. She was a bear in the park, and we saw the trouble she got into, and the ranger at that time had all these amazing photographs, and Gabriel said, "What can I do to help Gertrude?" And one of the things we always did was support Gabriel in whatever he wanted to do. I mean, within reason, right? I mean, so it's like, I want to write a story and tell people to not leave their food out. Okay, let's do that.
That's great.
And I never ever thought of it becoming a published book that would then sell 13,000 copies or 14,000 copies at this point, right? Like, and that then snowballed into the next. And not that everyone's kid is going to write a book and have that, but everyone's kid has something that is unique and special to them. And when you can focus in on what that is and build those things, there's so many things Gabriel could not do. Like, he still cannot ride a bicycle. There's things that he just cannot do, but we didn't focus on those. And I think, a teacher that we once had said, if your child is really good at this and bad at this, do you focus on what they're struggling with, or do you focus on what they're good at? And he said, focus on what they're good at and let them feel confident, competent about that. And not that you ignore the other.
Right.
But if you just focus on that so much, then the self-esteem is affected and so many other things, where if you focus on what empowers them, I mean, Gabriel's now doing things I never, ever thought he could, because he was able to follow that. I mean, it took him till 9 years old to tie a freaking shoelace, right?
Right.
He's now a search and rescue worker. Like, he
can
tie knots. He can rappel down cliffs and tie people into lifts that get hoisted up in helicopters. He can do it now, but because we took our time and told him, you can do this when
That's great.
So special needs doesn't just means that there's a different way of learning something, or something else that they're really good at, and focus on that. Like, go for it.
James said, I'm teaching him to help in the kitchen. My wife's father passed away this past May. Her sister will come back from Canada for the yearly remembrance next May. I could have her bring stuff back then. You just let me know what you need, James. I'm here. We can get this covered. Oh, but she's in Canada.
Well, I've got a great person in Canada. So let me know. Yeah. Yeah,
we
Danny's
can
awesome.
figure something out. Mary, can I put his book in the chat box?
Yes, you can.
I found it on Amazon.
Okay, cool. Yep.
Oh, we should link your link. Well, we can add him. We can add him later.
Yeah, cool.
Into the description box. So I need to get that book and
yes,
read it.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send both of them because his other book is cool too. He this
Guys, so
so this one is our friend Rodney's photographs. There's only a couple that Gabriel took, and then when Gabriel was 16, he had enough of these are all his own photos.
That's so neat.
So it's his photos and his stories and his encounters with bears versus Gertrude's story. Yeah. So I'll send both of those to you, Casey. Yeah.
Thanks. James said, my son Jimmy is just being able to put on his own shirt, but he is super smart. Yeah. Gifts for different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter's gift is animals. She's got such a way with animals.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She had like this little old decrepit hamster, and like it was just not all there. It would pee on you and all kinds of things, and everybody else was like, oh, she's like, oh, it's okay, you know. She would take care of this like hamster that was just, oh.
That's so sweet. Yeah.
We brought it to the vet. The vet said, you know, this hamster is past its life expectancy, right? I'm like, yeah.
Try telling that to a kid, right? Like,
yeah. And she works for a vet clinic now.
Isn't that awesome?
Yep, that's just her thing was always animals. So, Mary, thank you so much again for being here.
Casey, I love you. I can't wait till we can actually meet in person. You are so awesome. And, you know, I think I commented in my message box to you, I would, or someone should interview you. I think that would be really, really awesome because I'd love to have more of your story out there as well.
Yeah, just let me know.
Okay. Let me know if you want to be interviewed. I'd love to interview you.
Sure, anytime.
On your channel, you know, so it could be on your channel. So
like on my channel. Oh, that's funny.
We'll just flip the roles.
It's funny. People have interviewed me on their channel, like we share. It is so much harder to be interviewed than to interview for me. It's hard to talk about yourself, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. But it's fine. It's like, as long as like it's okay.
True. That's funny. Yeah. All right. Well, James and Victoria and Candy, and if I'm missing anybody, I'm sorry. Thank you all so much for coming and hearing Mary's story today and her journeys.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And look forward to.
Have a great day, everybody. And I'll see you before Thanksgiving anyway. I was going to say happy Thanksgiving, but I'll see you all soon.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.